Yeah, and let's jump into this Venezuela disaster
Of
because
course.
that's another thing
Yeah.
that was accelerated by the pandemic. The U.S. put out this as the pandemic began. The U.S. put out this bounty for the I think it was kill or capture. Capture is what they said officially, but they put like a $15 million bounty for the arrest of President Maduro and, $10 million bounties on other people in his administration. That the U.S. Trump's Justice Department put this out for like narco terrorism or whatever the fuck excuse they used.
Right.
But when this happened, it was like, this is, it's funny because they have a hotline. They're like, call if you have information about Maduro's whereabouts. It's like, dude, Maduro is like on Instagram Live all day, like driving around Caracas. Like, where he is. Like the whole point of the bounty was to incentivize the right-wing, paramilitary groups to, be bolder in their attempts to overthrow the Venezuelan government. But then we have this coup attempt that, comes back to the United States. It wasn't an official U.S. operation, but it was led by these ex-U.S. Special Forces guys, these ex-Green Berets, with this guy runs a mercenary security company called Silvercorp. This guy Jordan Goudreau.
Yeah.
And these two special forces guys, mercenaries, were headed on boats to Venezuela with this big plan to lead an armed insurrection against the government. Of course, motivated by the green light by the Trump administration of this person's a wanted narco terrorist and we're giving a bounty to people to arrest him. I think that despite that, it still is an illegal action by these U.S. citizens to go try to launch a coup against another government. But there's a lot to this story, Spencer. I wanted to get your thoughts on these guys going in there like they're Che and Fidel on the Grandma.
Yeah, like the mirror image of them.
Right.
Not having any consensus, supporting right-wing policies and utterly failing. I think this has been covered a lot by now, and so you've recounted the broad strokes of the events, which I'm sure many people know by now. And again, it's something that was reported on by the AP. And Goudreau himself had leaked details before they even tried to carry out this abortive attempt. I mean, it really, I think, is an excellent case study in the mentality of special operations forces personnel and the utter hubris, arrogance, and delusions of grandeur that many of these people have. I mean, Goudreau and those who he served with, I mean, even in the midst of him failing, all of his former colleagues say something to the effect of, this guy was the real deal. He was, the one of the greatest warriors I served, like this typical nonsense. But, and the thing, I think he deleted his Instagram account by now, or the Silvercorp one, but on it, like there was this like bizarre podcast of him talking with some former Green Beret he served with who was saying how he was like the best shot and all of this and that. And again, it's what it is I think whether it's the Green Berets, whether it's the Ranger Regiment, which, I was briefly a part of, or, the Navy SEALs, any of these groups, they really master a small skill set, which is utilized towards killing human beings. And that's really what it is on balance. And they fetishize and valorize this killing, this ability to kill, having the resources to kill, being able to kill with impunity. They valorize that in such a way that it has no actual application to the larger implications of what's occurring. So, for example, someone like Goudreau and other soldiers, military personnel like him, they think that by going out and killing people, killing innocent people, we might add, that they have somehow achieved some type of victory. But of course, all they've caused is pain and suffering and have created further destabilization, usually in areas already ripped apart by forms of imperial encroachment of varying capacities. And so many of these guys in the special operations units, I mean, even within the confines of the military ideology itself, or like the mission set, it's completely contradictory. But these people have been so indoctrinated and have believed in their own hype so much, and they have the unlimited resources of the budget that is propped up by the military industrial complex that they never have to answer. So what's interesting here is that Gaudreau, who starts up this Silvercorp private security firm, which according to some of his colleagues, he wanted to model on something like Blackwater, which is now known as Academy. When he tries to carry out something, which is, anyone could have told him, whether they're sympathetic to what he wanted to do or not, was completely unmoored from reality and had no chance of success. Yeah. He lives in such a fantasy world that he can't even consider that. And so they attempt this, they completely and utterly fail. And I mean, we could look at a few things here. I mean, most of these guys that got caught, particularly the 2 American soldiers who or former Green Berets who were part of this, I mean, they're facing consequences for the first time in their lives. Right. That's because they don't have the status of forces agreement, SOFA, that protected them as they were carrying out these atrocities in places like Afghanistan and Iraq and other places. Okay, they don't have status forces agreement. They no longer are directly connected with the inflated military budget, which allows them to have unlimited resources. Which is another means of them avoiding consequences. And so, in the final analysis, you have this this specific mentality, ideology that's cultivated from the very day they enter selection, which is further reinforced as they climb the ranks within the special operations community itself. And then they've been able to go overseas numerous times and carry out these actions without having to answer for them. And they're supported and lauded by those of their chain of command, by their colleagues, by those in political office because of the hero worship associated with the U.S. military in the U.S. And so they try to do that, though, on their own accord. And of course, it fails because they're no longer directly connected to that machine, which allows them to carry out such acts. So I think that is one of the more interesting aspects we have here. And I think that is not only them facing reality for the first time, but I mean, hopefully this can be some sort of a wake-up call for those who aren't privy to, U.S. military actions as they actually exist, or special operations forces as they actually exist, and see the folly of such institutions and just the utter arrogance and hubris which is at the core of such organizations. And of course, the most important thing, how these groups, it cannot be stated enough how much they just delight in the brutalization and torture and harm they cause to other people and places. And again, for the first time in their lives, not so much Jordan Gaudreau because he didn't actually take part in the action himself, but those who he recruited and those who had carried out these actions in the abortive coup attempt are finally, having to face the music. I mean, I believe it's Luke Denman and Aiden Barry. Is that his name? Yeah. These two fellows are for the first time have to actually, see what happens when you try to inflict pain, when you try to undermine sovereignty of another body that wasn't asking for it, that had that or in the simplest sense, when people actually get a say in how their country runs, and you don't have the inflated military budget of the U.S., just bludgeoning another population over the head. So again, it's a long, formulation on my part, a long, diatribe in some way, but it's just again, I encourage listeners to really consider how this might be a means of understanding, the sickness of the soul, really, that inhabits U.S. Special Operations Forces as an institution and as the people who make it up.
Yeah, and I feel that they are gonna really be facing the music because for the Venezuelan government, the U.S. has demanded that they be released, but like what kind of message does that send if the Venezuelan government just sends it back to the U.S.? It shows that you can come to our country and try to commit mass murder and there's no consequences. And I think that the fact that it was interesting angle to this too, because the CIA was aware of this operation, and the claim is that they met with the two SF guys when they were in Colombia or wherever they were, or Jamaica or something, when they were preparing the operation, and told them not to do it. Mainly not because they didn't want it to happen, but because they were just like, it's gonna go up and there's no way you can actually do this.
Right.
And so they tried to talk them out of it. But it was interesting to hear that the CIA just tried to talk them out of it and didn't actually do anything in their power. They could have actually stopped the operation, but they're like, oh, well, if they want to try it, let them try it. It just kind of shows the kind of intertwining of the military industrial complex and private mercenary companies and the official state apparatus. Like we know that there is just more mercenaries in Afghanistan than there are U.S. soldiers, like more mercenary deaths in Afghanistan than U.S. soldier deaths, which means they're like combat guys. They're not, so there's this whole hidden side to U.S. foreign policy. And this fact that the CIA is aware of it, but exerted no control or power over it and said, this is a bad idea, but it's up to you. It's your choice. You can do it if you want to do it. That just says a lot about how our system runs. If they were trying to, but because they were acting against the government that the CIA wants to destroy. So they're like, well, it can't hurt. But I have no sympathy for these guys because in their plans, it also just shows like the delusions of grandeur, right? I mean, in their plans, they had planned to give themselves a license to kill Maduro supporters and like anyone who's like in the colectivos, right? Which are like the armed civilian population that supports the government. I mean, these are like thousands and thousands of people. This isn't like some small like ragtag gangs. Like these are like the base of the population, like the working class, poor communities have armed themselves for self-defense to defend against like the gangs and stuff like that. I mean, there is a lot of danger and crime in Venezuela. And so that's like, community defense is a thing that exists. And these guys thought that they were going to sweep into the country and just start killing all of these people. They're just like normal workers who live in like poor communities who just like also have guns and are organized with their fellow neighbors to defend against a U.S. attack or like, gangs coming in to their community and stuff. And so it was definitely doomed from the start. There's no way that this small group of guys, even if they had a few hundred people that were going to join them in Venezuela, there's no way that this could have gone anywhere. But I do like how you said that the mentality is that they've mastered a very small skill set.
Right.
It's like our society is like such a culture of glorifying the special operator as like the pinnacle of human achievement. Like it's some really hard thing to achieve. And then once you've achieved it, you can never go anywhere else. And you have to keep going to the private sector and keep doing this one job where it's like, it's not hard to join the army. And then if you're in like, if you're in decent shape and then you do shoot houses all day, you'll get really good at that skill set.
Yeah. And if you're willing to put up with like a form of glorified frat mentality and suffer some form of like repeated personal abuse and humiliation so that then you can then inflict that on other people in some process of indoctrination and inculcation, then I mean, it's really all it is. I mean, it's this aspect of, abusive repetition and, imbibing of a certain type of mentality. And that's really all it is. And again, these guys, as you're getting at right here, they either continue on within the ranks of such organizations or they seek out, larger salaries, paydays, and the private military firms out there.